Media evaluation. Question 1. In what way does your media product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Our media product was set in 3 main locations: the basement, the barn, and the yard. We began with the basement and found it applicable to many different conventions of a thriller film, in that it was very dark, exclusive, and unsettling. These are typical conventions of a thriller film location, as they serve to set the audience on edge and encourage an uncomfortable atmosphere. The idea of using the basement was taken from The Dark Knight Rises, in which a secluded conference room is used in an interrogation scene. This conventional setting instantly provoked an unsettling aura, adding an element of tension. The idea of the yard came from an existing product, The Hunger Games. The main setting of this film is in a grassy arena. The yard is extremely similar to this open piece of land, with a large patch of grass and forestry on the outskirts. Contradictory to our first location, we found the yard to challenge the usual locations of a media product. This is because it's very open and has a lack of hiding places, which would usually be used to create tension. Despite this, we found the open space to be just as thrilling, as it is an everyday location, encouraging the idea that it could happen to anyone and will be remembered when the audience are in said locations. We also discovered that although having a place for the character to hide would usually create an element of tension, not having anywhere for them to hide could be just as effective. During the period in which the character is running through the yard, there is nowhere for them to escape the antagonist. The area is fully lit and they are in plain sight. Again, this is similar to the arena in The Hunger Games, which has proved to be a very successful product. We decided to go against the conventions of a typical thriller film for this location, as it would surprise the audience and intrigue them. Our final location was the barn, and similar to our first location, we took inspiration from films like The Dark Knight Rises that use a hidden and secluded location to create drama and suspense. We found that props such as a discarded tire were useful in adding to an uncomfortable atmosphere of the barn. Music and sound. The music for our thriller film is conventional, as it is particularly eerie, dramatic, and has an increase in speed. We decided to follow this convention, as the music to the thriller film is particularly important in creating tension, so by following the usual trends we were able to keep the audience entertained at all times, as a successful thriller film would. We decided to use a high-angle Dutch tilt when the protagonist is making the transition through the kitchen. This is another conventional camera shot, as it creates disorientation and unease on the audience's part. A Dutch tilt is usually used in the scene of frantic or desperate action, making it perfect for when our protagonist first escapes, which we decided to use as it makes the scene look a lot clearer to the audience. One of the most common shots in which we used was a mid-shot. This allowed us to show the expression on the character's face along with the surroundings down to their waist. This is about the same proportion of the person that you would usually see when having a normal conversation with them, therefore making the audience feel as if they are actually there and a part of the scene. This adds to the thrill of the film, as the audience feel involved and personally affected by the fate of certain characters, instantly setting them on edge. We used a 180-degree shot when the antagonist and protagonist were talking. This is used much less in thriller films, but serves to portray the conversation through a different light as opposed to using an average mid-shot. This isn't particularly conventional or unconventional, but creates an element of tension anyway. Another element of mise-en-scène that we used in our film would be lighting. We used a range of different lighting and differed where we used them to create a range of moods. In the basement we used low-key lighting, which was similar to the film Paranormal Activity. During the scenes in which the antagonists or spirits appear in the film, they are often accompanied by a lack of light. This makes the audience unaware as to what is exactly going on in the scene, and the lack of knowledge then causes it and creates tension, causing it to become more thrilling. We decided to use this convention, as having the basement fully lit would not have created the chilling effect that it did with the low-key lighting. We discovered this through experimentation. During the yard setting we used natural lighting. This gave connotations of freedom and positivity, which added to the mood of the scene. However, having such bright lighting is unconventional, as thrillers often discourage scenes of positivity. Despite this, we decided to go against the conventions anyway, as we thought it would be more thrilling for the audience if they believe the character is free, then experience a twist when she is recaptured. An example of an existing thriller film that uses similar lighting would be The Hunger Games, as almost all of the scenes are set in natural light. We often focused our light on people, experimenting with things such as three-point lighting technique. We attempted to have more light directed at the protagonist as opposed to the antagonist, to distinguish the difference between personalities, and convey the antagonist as having a much darker, sinister personality. Costume. For the female character's clothing, the protagonist, we decided to take a fairly neutral approach of black leggings, a hoodie and Converse. We decided this mainly because of the fact that we wanted her to appear more casual and as if she was going about her daily life before she was kidnapped. This made the overall scene appear much more realistic. We took this inspiration from the film Taken that features a girl of a similar age being kidnapped. In the film, she is wearing jeans and a t-shirt. This would be a typical convention of a thriller film because often the protagonist is seen to be wearing normal clothing, so that the event is more lifelike and convinces the audience a similar scenario could happen to them. We continued to follow the conventions of a thriller film when choosing the antagonist's outfit. The Purge, existing media product, features certain costumes that include masks. We took this as an inspiration and decided to have our antagonist wearing balaclavas. By covering the characters' faces, more attention is brought to their eyes, making them appear more mysterious. The connotations of black, again being convention of a thriller film, connotes death and sinister activity. We decided to use this convention as we felt it fitted well with our storyline of a kidnapping. We also decided to use conventional makeup by having the characters covered in fake blood. This instantly raised questions from the audience as to what has happened. The convention is used throughout many existing thriller films to create an element of fear and tension. Props. Another element of mise-en-scène that we used in our film would be props. We had the conventional prop of a chair, which the character was tied to. The chair was old and uncared for, giving connotations of an unwelcoming environment, which is a typical desire of a thriller film. Another prop that we used in our product would be the getaway car. The fact that the car was used to flee the scene makes it a typical convention of a thriller film. However, the bright green colour of the car challenges existing conventions and gives a unique spin to it. The fact that the aesthetics of the car are not what the audience would usually expect creates an interesting turn for the film and encourages them to carry on watching it. Another significant prop we used in our film would be the Hessian bag covering the protagonist's face at the beginning of the film. Despite it only being on for a brief period of time, it is conventional and is what to be expected from an existing thriller film. As the face is concealed, questions are raised and the character is left feeling isolated and victimised. Body language. Another element of mise-en-scène that we used would be body language and facial expressions. We had the two male antagonists with their arms crossed, so they appear more unwelcoming and intimidating, a key part of the characterisation. They are positioned as standing up so that they are more dominant over the female character. This is conventional for a thriller film and is juxtaposed against the body language of the protagonist who is forcibly open and at mercy of the antagonist. Her reaction to this, however, would be unconventional as she doesn't appear to be particularly bothered or threatened by the experience.